Good morning, guys. Today we're going to be going over some predictions for LCS Week 1, which starts tomorrow. Hopefully you stay nice and warm because it is freezing as hell outside right now. And starting at the top is they're really like going off with a banger, which is great because like there's been previous seasons where they had just a terrible first like day to get you like into LCS. And so we have the two teams that competed in Kespa Cup, TL and C9. And from watching those games, which thankfully I did actually watch those games, so I have some background on that. TL was suffering from similar problems that they've had in the past year, where Yeon was identifying opportunities to take space, but he either doesn't call it or his teammates don't really realize what he sees. And since they're not on the same page, he ends up just dying. Now, there are a few times where Yeon definitely just does something he shouldn't do as well, which gives him a certain volatile aspect that you don't necessarily always like, and something that would be great for him to clean up and then also get more people on board, so like they can actually take advantage of him being really good when he is good. In terms of like top lane with Morgan, he was fine. I mean, I'm expecting his laning phase to be adequate, right? It will definitely be adequate. His impact on the map is a little. And so you're kind of like, for now, he's just kind of like a mechanical ball that you're hoping can perform in fights when necessary, but I don't know if he's going to be a huge contribution towards game plans. And then you have Jose, who's, again, just okay. From what I've watched, there's opportunities and where he could be pressing and like not wasting his abilities on certain targets. Like I remember him playing Pantheon and he just used his full load, his W and everything on a support who already spent his CDs, so it was just kind of like a huge waste of abilities. And I mean, if you're using your W as Pantheon at the start of a fight on someone bad, like your champion's already semi-useless, so that's not great. And then Core looked good. I mean, he still looked good, right? On C9's side, it's like a weird mix because I think the bot lane actually looked very reasonable. I feel like Vulcan was turning it up, and I think Vulcan was actually making some rather, how would you say it? He was making plays that pushed the game forward well. At times, yes, he did int. I mean, that's naturally just going to happen when you're playing support, but I felt like the way Vulcan was playing was definitely the direction they want, and Sven was playing up to par, so that has remained. APA was the same guy. I mean, dying the same way, but making the same plays that he does. Blabber looked like he was a little bit more involved in the early game, but also, you know, he still kind of fails out on certain fight situations, which I don't really understand. And Thanos just looked good. So just going over those, like that brief overview of the two teams, just so you have that in mind, since like none of these other teams are going to be able to say anything that detailed, but for these two teams we can. For me, thinking about like how these guys match up together, you know, obviously with C9 they have more people like who have been together to depend on, right? I mean, the only person they're adding is APA, who can kind of slot in decently. And on TL side, you know, obviously Quid and Yeon and Morgan are all capable players to win their lanes. You know, it's not like Morgan just is going to just smash Thanatos. I assume that's not going to happen. Yeah, Quid could smash APA. That could happen. But the bot lane should be pretty evenly matched. And then it comes into the jungle situation where, I mean, I feel like Blabber's just a bit of a better jungler, and that Jose makes some similar mistakes as Blabber, but Blabber is a better jungler. And so for kind of those reasons, I feel like based on C9 gaining the more consistency as well, less failed out plays, I'm probably going to go with C9 for this start. Like, this will be my choice for the opener, C9. Again, it shouldn't be like a horrible thing for TL to think on, because again, they have 3 brand new players. They have a jungle mid who, personally, I don't think that's really a good combo. Like, I don't really care for this combo at all. So for me, like, that's already kind of a negative. And if these guys actually work better together, Blabber and APA, I can see that kind of propelling them to be the first seed for this season. So C9. Should I do a score as well? Say 2-1. It's a very reserved score. You know, part of me wanted to say 2-0, but it's a reserved score. Senators versus DSG. You know, this is another matchup should actually be... I guess it's how you view it. I feel like this actually could be a close matchup. So Cryo is going to get replaced by Kisno due to the Canadian visa. The Senators, I believe, have the full roster, I think. Or Senators. Sentinels. I don't know why I'm calling it Senators. Thinking of the Ottawa Senators. Or whatever they're called. Sentinels. Impact, Hanbok, Dark Wings, Rahel, Hui. I think they're at full force. If they are... So, Castle versus Impact, it's not like Impact has a advantage over Castle in lane. The advantage really comes through like what he does on the map afterwards, so that's where Impact will gain more value. And Hanbok is for sure a better jungler. 100% he's a better jungler. And then their bot lane is... Oh, man. Okay, I mean, I'm probably just going to say it straight up now that it's going to be a Sentinels win. I don't know why I keep saying Sentinels. Sentinels win. And most of the reason is I don't think it's like that bad. Like, it's not like a drastic, horrible change of flipping Kisno into the team. Like, that's not the reason why they would lose. The reason why they would lose is because they have Lions. So, like, I like Sajed. Sajed's a very capable player for playing in LCS. Lions is a terrible support. And you're playing against actually one of the better dual lanes who actually already have a full year. Well, not a full year, but like they have time played together. And it can only get better from there. So you're going to lose in the ball lane. The mid lane, Darkwing should be able to play up to par to Call Me. Call Me is basically like, you could say he's an Armeo of tier 2. You know, like he's actually a really good tier 2 player for that like level. And then you come into tier 1 and it's like, he's fine. You know, it's not like he's going to be some incredible, you know, talent per se. And then like Hanbok, like if he does play up to par because he's played LCK, you know, think about Quad literally could not play in LCK. Like he would be a bottom table mid laner in LCK. And so Hanbok at the time was kind of like a bottom table jungler. And we've also seen what that looks like with Umpty. And the reality is like, yeah, I mean, they have experienced really high level play. You come into lower level play, you're gonna do probably pretty good. You know, it's the same reason why like people would see Morgan as like, oh, he's gonna do pretty good. You know, so losing in ball lane, jungler will be better. And then if he makes more plays on the map compared to you, it's GG. So it's 2-0. Fly versus SR. Some people are gonna say Fly has like a reasonable chance, and obviously the most simple thing to really go over when it comes to this. Also, all right, we're gonna lose that real quick. Don't worry, it's gonna come back. I'm shrinking my my camera just so it doesn't block so much. When you're looking at Fly versus SR, you know they have Griffin, they have Cryogen. Now the thing is, and I've talked about this, these two players, you know, Griffin has some experience in the LTA South, right, in CBLOL. Running with that squad, and Cryogen basically has no experience outside of playing a little bit of tier 2, tier 3. Their problem is definitely going to be in the jungle support, like playing together, making the right plays, you know, not just like free slinging it. And they're going to depend heavily on Quad and Masu to be the front runners to carry the games. And Quad will be consistent. You know, he definitely will be consistent at this level in LCS, which is someone you could depend on. And Masu as well, you know, if he does take lead in the ball lane, he can do really good work. And Gakos is basically kind of in a similar state as like Castle in a way. You know, he's the guy who's going to look to smash lane. And so his opponent is Fudge. And personally, while I think Gakos can do well versus Fudge, Fudge is just a far more well-rounded and experienced top laner. And even if, despite if Fudge does go down a little bit, Fudge, again, is a capable individual to make plays elsewhere. So that's not like really a huge advantage on their part. Griffin versus Contracts. I mean, Contracts is probably the best NA jungler at this point. I think he's better than Blabber in a way, especially with having like the balls to initiate the right way when necessary, and that is already going to be a problem because it's contracts and CEOs who've played together. And again, your main weakness is Griffin and Cryogen. So now you have a disadvantage in probably the worst area in higher level can play, where jungle and support, if you have a bad jungle support, and this shows really hard at worlds level and higher, the game kind of just falls apart. It really does. Like, these guys are the glue of the team. So if you don't have that going for you, it's pretty rough. Sometimes you can have players who are just doing so well that it elevates everything. But yeah, that's a pretty rough one. So they have a disadvantage in a core role. Quad versus Zinni will be very fun. We don't know how Zinni's actually going to turn out in his beginning, because like Quid, when he first started, was terrible. You know, like he just kind of came in, he did awful, and then the next split, when he actually got to settle in and everything, he did really well. So he'll actually be a small question mark initially, just initially. If he is feeling himself and everything, then he'll do great. And so the advantage that FlyQuest has here is basically just consistency with Quad, and that's about it. The Voice CEOs they're just fine. You know, they're not like a powerhouse ball lane. And so I'm not actually expecting Masu Cryogen to get smashed in the ball lane at all. And so this is probably where their main focus is going to be, is trying to push their bot lane ahead and make that a reality of like a win con. And if they can do that, they might stick into the game. But generally, again, like C9, they have 4 people added, and then Zinni, who's just there to just murder people in the mid lane. It's probably an SR win. And personally, probably is a 2-0. Like, it's not anything to be like sad about if that was what happens by FlyQuest. I mean, you just want to show good effort, things to learn from, and improve from there. That's all FlyQuest is there to do in the first split. You know, they're not set to win and go to first stand. Like, I highly doubt that's what's going to happen. But you want to get as much as you can, and if they can go 2-1 against any of these teams, the project's already looking pretty damn good. So Lion versus Dig, Zamuro is out, so Dokla is replacing him. Not like out, but like he's the visa issue, like with Canada. And then same with Dig, they're losing. Who was the original bot lane? Oh, FBI and wasn't it Isles? FBI. Oh no, Isles is on this team. Who the hell was their support? I don't even remember who their support is, but basically it was FBI someone. And yeah, I mean, obviously mobility is not as good as FBI, so that's a big loss. Dokla is an improvement. I mean, don't get me wrong. Zamuro is, when Zamuro is on, and from what I've watched and talked to and experienced and everything, he is a great player. He just has not gotten the chance to show it, and not gained the chance to like be as involved, which is kind of delaying that. And so since that's the case, Dokla in the present tense would be better. Like, just for now, better. So this team actually improved. And, you know, their bot lane, even though Isles, I don't think, is a good support player, and Breezy, you know, he sticks around in tier 2, probably won't get an LCS shot ever. And so, like, I don't really think there's a massive difference here. I mean, like, Isles might be a little bit better, but I don't think, like, you know, he's that much better of a player. Berserker, you know, he's had a really down year last year, and he had a bit of a down year on his last year of C9, so it's not like he's a really hype player or anything, but he's still Berserker, and he's still experienced what LCK is like again. And so I'm sure he'll be fine as a win con for fights. If their laning is not that great, he'll definitely be a win con for fights. This will be the biggest issue they have, which is jungle mid. And oh, it's Ignar. Oh, it's Ignar. Yeah, their bot lane's a massive downgrade from FBI Ignar. Unless Ignar, no, I don't think Ignar's coming for first week. So there's a huge downgrade in bot lane. So disadvantage in bot lane, pretty giant disadvantage in mid jungle. I mean, Saint is a far better player than Palafox, and Inspire's a far better than XQ. So that is not ideal at all. And then you have Dokla Photon, who Photon is the better player, but Dokla has a certain level of consistency to just be in the game. Like, you will always be in the game doing something, contributing some way. That's typically like how you see like Impact as well, but Dokla has probably cleaned up his laning phase a little bit more compared to Impact. So for now, yeah, I mean, it's a 2-0 as well. And like, I put a lot of 2-0s, and I think mostly it's just because, again, I feel like there's so much consistency in Sentinels compared to Disguised, and they have some, like, I feel like if this was a different support than Lions, maybe then I could say this was a lot closer, because then it's like, oh, Call Me's like, okay, Castle's like fine, their bot lane's fine. You know, like, I feel like there's a more reasonable shot, but because there's such an issue here, I feel like it's not going to be so great. And then you looked at this one, the Fly SR, and again, it's like, it just seems hard to get over the hump on that first series right away. And like I said, if these guys do end up working better than expected, you know, if somehow the coaching staff is able to get these guys to par quickly, I mean, it probably could be a 2-1. If they actually beat SR, then it's going to be like, holy shit, that's incredible already. And then Lions versus Dig, you know, because of their strongest part was having Ignar and FBI, especially that Ignar can help drive the game for his jungle, for the team as a whole. Like, that's one of the best things he's at. Not having Ignar is catastrophic. So that already like puts Dig in the hole. So for me, C9, Sentinels, Shopify, Lions, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-1. Those are my predictions.